All right. Good afternoon. I am just getting set up. It's my first time using this software on this laptop, so hopefully I'm coming through okay. But I wanted to make sure that I at least had the opportunity to address something that caught my attention a lot over the last week. And this is the PACT Act. The PACT Act, apparently, I'm hearing a lot of rumblings and a lot of noise around whether or not the PACT Act is being dismantled or if it's going to go away. I've had a couple comments on my site about that. I've seen videos from other creators out there. And I just kind of want to get us back to the facts and talk about whether or not PACT Act is going away, whether it's being broken down, whether it's being trashed, or whether this is just noise, right? So let's go ahead and get started, and I will open up the page here, and we will go with this. So let's just talk about the PACT Act as a little bit of background first, because it's important for you to understand this, right? The PACT Act is a law that expands VA health care and benefits for veterans exposed to burn pits, Agent Orange, other toxic substances. The key here is that this is a law. This was passed into law. What does it do? How does it help? It expands and extends eligibility for VA health care for veterans with toxic exposure, right? Specifically Vietnam, Gulf War, post 9/11 era. All right, adds 20 plus more presumptive conditions. There's a very good reason if you are a veteran to where you would think if you heard the noise about the PACT Act is dying or the PACT Act's being dismantled in 2026, you have very good reason to be concerned as a veteran, right? But the short answer is that the PACT Act is not dying in 2026. But with that said, parts of how it's funded and reviewed are going to change, and they do change, and that's where these rumors come from. That's part of the reason there's rumors. So let's just really get into what the straight talk on this whole topic is, right? So what the PACT Act actually is. The PACT Act, the promise to address comprehensive toxins, is a permanent law. Permanent law. It takes an act of Congress to change it, okay? It's a permanent law. It expanded presumptive conditions for toxic exposure, eligibility for VA healthcare, like I said before, survivor benefits, and exposure recognition for burn pits, Agent Orange, radiation, and more. Now, once a condition is made presumptive, it does not expire unless Congress passes a new law to remove it completely. So let's talk about these rumors that are going on and where they came from, right? I'm getting glimpses of people saying, hey, I really feel like PACT Act is dead. It's going to be killed. We're going to lose it. All these reductions in VA healthcare workers are going to mess it up, etc. We're going to get into a little bit of that here in just a second, but the rumors are stemming from temporary budget scoring window is what it's called. The biggest driver of this rumor is congressional budget mechanics, not benefits ending. All right, so when the PACT Act passed, some funding and cost projections were scored over a 10-year budget window. Around 2026, Congress must re-review the costs. They must reauthorize or adjust certain funding mechanisms. They must decide how future VA spending is categorized. This does not mean the PACT Act is going away. It does not mean benefits are going to end. It means Congress looks at the money again, which always sparks political noise. No matter what side of the spectrum you're on, when somebody starts looking at money, everybody loses their dang mind. All right? So secondly, there's confusion about mandatory funding versus discretionary funding. The PACT Act It moved away from discretionary funding and moved many of the toxic exposures into mandatory funding, which makes benefits more stable. It makes it reduces yearly budget fights. It limits Congress's ability to quietly underfund VA care. Some lawmakers, well, they don't like that. They want to underfund stuff, right? We know that. Every single side of the party knows that. So you'll hear phrases like PACT Act funding cliff, PACT Act sustainability, PACT Act needs reform. Those are budget debates, not benefit expiration notices, period. End of story. The other reason that these things happen is we're going to come up on an election cycle. And election cycles for every single topic that has to do with money starts fear messaging on both sides of the aisle very, very early, and it doesn't stop until the next budget cycle where they decide, or the next election cycle where they decide to focus on a totally different topic. So as we approach these election cycles, advocacy groups amplify the risk to drive urgency in the matter. The political opponents against each other float cost concerns. I'm concerned about this. Well, you're spending too much there. Social media compresses nuance into panic headlines. It's absolutely ridiculous. We need to stop sitting in this realm of ridiculousness where somebody hears one thing and all of a sudden it's the end of the planet for everything that we have for veterans benefits, right? PACT Act dying spreads faster than Congress must rescore mandatory spending while benefits remain law. Of course it's going to spread faster. Anything that says the PACT Act is dying is going to spread faster. So what is not happening in 2026? Well, let's be crystal clear about this. Presumptive conditions do not expire. Existing ratings do not get revoked. VA healthcare eligibility does not end. Claims stop being accepted? No. May it take a little bit longer for your claims to be processed? That depends on the amount of funding and where we move our resources and, quite honestly, about the full-blown VA reorganization that's coming up. But if you're already service-connected under the PACT Act, your protection's locked in unless Congress affirmatively changes the law, which for every congressperson out there would be political, dead yourself, basically, at that point. But all that said, right, PACT Act is not being dismantled. It's not dying. It's not going away. But pay attention, because the implementation and the access can still be influenced by VA staffing and processing capacity, which we're going to jump into in just a second, and then the claims backlog funding and outreach and examiner guidance on how to address these things, rulemaking interpretations. That's why advocacy and awareness still matter. Panic does not help veterans make smart filing decisions. Don't panic, right? All right, so let's look over here. We went through this PACT Act. We talked about it a little bit. You can look at all this on the VA's website. It's a nice little run-up. But here we are. Here's where the rumor mills start. Here's where things go stupid. Here's where things just get ridiculous, quite honestly. Lawyersandsettlements.com, VA plans massive reorg in 2026. NPR, VA will cut 25,000 positions that it has been, keyword, unable to fill. CNN gave it a whole different spin. It's hard to be merry. VA workers brace for more bad news. They're not bracing for bad news. What's happening is that 25,000 of the 35,000 jobs that they've talked about cutting aren't even filled. We don't have anybody in those positions. They're unfilled positions. So how are you going to lose at this point? Are we going to be delayed a little bit more? Yes. Is it going to be crowded at the hospitals again? Probably. Are they going to have to hire people down the road? Definitely, because they're not going to be able to keep up with this stuff, right? So listen, it's very, very clear that the spin that's going on out there right now is driving a lot of panic, and panic is not needed in this case. Let's just move past this, okay? We've got bigger, better things to worry about. However, with all that said, if you are fearful about the PACT Act going away, well, if you're not service connected and you haven't put your presumptive claim in yet, put it in now. It hasn't expired yet, and as soon as they write that stamp, if they ever write that stamp and say, hey, we're not going to do PACT Act claims anymore, you know what happens? You are in before then, your benefits don't go away. You're still eligible. So if you're concerned about it, if you really think this is going to happen, which every fact that I've looked at tells me it's not, if you're really concerned about it, then file your claims now. Get them in, get it over with. You know, if it's truly a presumptive PACT Act claim that you have, you really don't need much evidence. I mean, it's real simple. So let's go through the rumors and facts just real quick. Rumor, the PACT Act ends in 2026. The fact is, PACT Act is permanent law. Benefits don't expire. Congress has to change it, okay? Rumor, presumptive conditions go away in 2026. Presumptives stay in place unless Congress repeals them. Rumor, veterans will lose their ratings. Existing ratings are protected by law. They can't change it if you already have it. Now, with that said, ratings, you know, your symptoms can get worse, they can get better. The rating will change, potentially, if you file other claims or there's potential fraud out there, right? But your rating itself is protected by law. You won't be able to file after 2026, but that's junk. Claims are going to continue to be accepted. And even if through these budget reviews that they come out and they say, hey, you know what? We're going to start cutting out the PACT Act stuff. Let's just go ahead and do that, right? It's going to take them at least 2 to 3 years, maybe 5 years, to get that passed through, because every politician that goes after it is going to hear an uprising, and it better be from every single one of us veterans that goes out and says, this is bullcrap, you're not taking my stuff away, quit your stupid little political games and take care of us, right? So, again, what's actually happening is budget reviews, political debate, and election year fear-mongering, quite honestly. So, let's just take a look at some of these headlines. Look, 25,000 unfilled jobs. You know, positions it's been unable to fill. You know, the CNN headline tells you the whole story. It's media freaking fear-mongering. It's ridiculous. And veterans have got to stop going after that stuff. You know what I mean? You really have to. All right, listen. Thanks for coming aboard. I know this was quick, but I got a bowl game to go watch. I've got my link tree up on the window right now. It's in my channel. It's in the channel. I don't know what it's called. Description. The channel description will give you this. I've got a free disability claims ebook if you're new to the claims process. I've got some cool merch. Buy some. I think it's cool. If you don't think it's cool, don't buy some. I have a free ChatGPT VA personal statement builder that I built directly for all of you veterans. And you can see all the VA resources down here. There's all kinds of really good quality information in here. And I'm going to push my merch one more time because look at this shirt. My CNP exam said I'm fine. That's freaking hilarious. Mandatory fund survivor. That's freaking hilarious, right? I've got a few in here. You can't spell aggravated without VA. You know, listen, I'm on your side, veterans. So let's all just get past the fear mongering of the PACT Act is being dismantled and let's move on. Because everybody out there saying panic, panic, panic is either looking for clicks or they're looking for attention. It's not going to happen. With that, thanks for hanging out with me for the 15 minutes it took me to do this. And hopefully all of this came through really clear. Drop me a comment below. I'd really like to know your thoughts on this. If you think I'm out of my mind, let me know. Maybe we can start up a conversation about the facts that you're seeing versus the facts that I'm seeing.